Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I've been a bit MIA, but you know, seasonal depression is a bitch, and you know, life just been lifing. I hope you guys, you know, have no dealings with her, you know, seasonal depression. And going forward, I'm gonna try and work myself back into our, you know, cruise, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. So God help me be able to stick to my shadow. Now in this one I thought we could address dimming your light for other people, which never works, you know, and the reason why it never works. Right now I have seen mainly that we tend to dim our light for others in two instances. Now the first one is real insecurities, as in insecurities that are rooted in reality. Right now, let's say for example purposes that, you know, you and your friend both grew up, you know, in the hood, very impoverished, and that you guys kind of bonded over, you know, poverty, kind of over the struggle, you know, it'd be like that. And you grew up to start a very prolific business, right? You know, and you are quite wealthy, and your friend, unfortunately for her, didn't achieve the same level of success. Now in this case, her insecurity about you having more isn't perceived, you know, it is actually rooted in a reality. Let's say that, you know, you bought this huge mansion outside the hood, like in the suburbs or something. You with 9 bedrooms, you got 4 or 5 cars, you know, you're traveling around the world to Europe, St. Bart, Santorini, whatever. I mean, it's very clear that, you know, you are doing financially very well. You're invited to all these prolific parties. You have celebrity friends, you know, all the shebangs. And you guys, this is just an example, by the way. You know, I'm just making this up as we go. Don't get caught up in the semantics, right? This applies whatever the case may be, whether you lost a lot of weight, or you know, you just recently got married, you just recently had a baby, you know, just apply it to your own personal situation, which I don't know. Right now in this case, what we tend to do, what I've noticed people do, is dim their light in the sense of like trying to give their friends something to mourn about, or something that they are mourning about rather, right? So what this could look like is when the friend asks you, you know, how is your business going, you could say stuff like, you know, it's not going as well as it seems, even though the business is doing pretty well. Or, you know, if you really don't have anything about the business to tell them to soothe them, then you would go like into issues about your personal life. You know, let's say you are married or partnered, so you would tell them something about, you know, your boyfriend or husband that doesn't make them, you know, look in the best light. Or perhaps you would open up about some struggle with a teenage child that isn't very well behaved. And I really want you guys to concentrate on this, right? I mean, really think about this situation. You are around somebody who, in order for them to rejoice with you, you have to give them something to mourn about, right? Or something that you are mourning about. You guys, don't miss this, okay? This is so important, because the good book says about our friends and family that they are supposed to rejoice when we rejoice, and they are supposed to mourn when we mourn. So here you have someone around you that needs for you to mourn about something so that they can rejoice with you. I mean, come on now, with friends like this, who need enemies, okay? Now that's situation number one, and towards the end of the video I will address one solution that I have for this. And situation number two, which is even more complex if you ask me than situation number one, is if you are dealing with someone with a perceived insecurity. Now this is very hard, very difficult to deal with. What this would look like is a friend who is insecure about her intellect, so she believes you to be smarter than her. Again, keep in mind, she doesn't know this to be true, right? This is just what she thinks. Or she believes you to be more attractive than her, or she believes you to be luckier than her, whatever the case may be, right? Again, this is very hard to deal with, because whatever the person is going through is a delusion. It's not really reality, right? And when it comes to these people, I say, you know, you're best off just cutting them off, you guys, because listen, and a lot of us tend to be guilty of not wanting to burning the cake. A lot of us suffer from, you know, saving everybody syndrome. Listen, some people and situations are above your pay grade. Okay, some people are a job for Jesus. Okay, recognize when you have someone around you that you cannot help. Recognize when you have someone around you that is a job for Jesus. Okay, you need to put them on your prayer list and keep it pushing. Listen, you do not have the tools, okay, the tools to deal with someone like this. They have to talk to a psychiatrist. They have to talk to a mental health professional. Okay, the key word in self-esteem and self-worth is self. Okay, this is a work that needs to be done by the individual themselves. You as a friend or family member, whoever this person may be to you, you are not equipped to help them with whatever they're going through. Okay, you have to be very, very careful here, you guys. Y'all know I like to work in a situation from my own personal story in the videos. And I remember I once had this friend who was very, very insecure about her intellect, and every time we went out, you know, people would approach us, they would speak to us, and she would barely say anything. So I would have to end up speaking to these people, and then she would be resentful of that. And then I saw that, I peeped game, because, you know, I tell you guys, I'm very, very good at reading people and situation, right? And then from there forward, I wouldn't speak to people, you know, when they came to us. I would do just like her, you know, just some small talk, and then I would focus on her and just talk to her, right? Because at some point I thought maybe she's feeling left out, she's feeling upset that I'm talking to these people and not talking to her, so I'm just gonna focus, you know, redirect all my attention on her. But she still wasn't happy, right? Because here's the thing, when you dim your light, like, whoever you're dealing with is not dumb, right? They peep game, okay? And some of them may feel even more insulted that you are taking them for a fool now and pretending something that isn't even true, right? So you have to be very, very careful, you guys. At the end of the day, dimming your light just doesn't work. It's a losing game. Don't engage into it. I say blind them efforts, okay? You have to force people to get themselves some mother effing glasses, okay? They need to get themselves some Fendi glasses, some Gucci glasses, hell, some no-name glasses. I don't care, okay? And the reason why you want to be your authentic self, you know, no matter how blessed you are, is because you will attract people who naturally can take your light, okay? When you go out there dimming your light, you're going to attract a lot of, like, again, maybe potentially insecure people who can't really take you, right? Not your, you know, your authentic crowd. You can't find your crowd like that because you're not being you, okay? But when you go out here and you are your authentic self, if you're somebody who is very, very positive, be positive. If you're somebody who smiles a lot, smile a lot, okay? Just go out there and be your authentic self, because that way you are going to attract your authentic crowd, people who can actually deal with your light, okay? People you won't have to dim your light around, okay? And about the first situation, you know, the friend who is like, whose insecurity is rooted in a reality, in a fact, I'd say in this case, something that you could try. Now, again, you know your situation, you know this person. If this is the case, you know, please assess whether this person can be very, very aggressive or negative before you do this. But what you could consider is talking to them about it, right? What you could consider is a conversation. Now, I say only do this if you're dealing with somebody who is extremely self-aware, which we know most people are not. Also, only do this if you think that there is a slightest chance that the person will be willing to change. Now, in my experience, people don't really change like that, especially past a certain age. And most of the time, when people do change, you know, they change for themselves, right? Usually people only change, you know, because something life-changing has happened for them, something that disrupted their reality so much so that they had no choice but to change because their own ways were not working for them anymore. So, you know, unless this person really, really value your friendship, that you mean so much to them that they can't live without you, most likely this isn't going to help. But I still wanted to include it in the video because it may help somebody. So I say, you know, be very calm about it. Perhaps consider talking to a mental health professional or therapist about the appropriate lingo to say that. Again, stay very collected. You could tell them something along the line of, you know, I've noticed ever since I have lost the weight, you know, you have been a little bit different. Sometimes you take jabs at me, you've been a little bit passive aggressive, you know, does the fact that I've lost a lot of weight bother you? If it's about money, you could ask them whether the fact that you are the one who pick up the bill every single time bothers them. You could suggest that sometimes they'll go to places that are more affordable. If you always suggest very, very expensive places that, you know, you're going to have to pick up the bill for because, you know, they can't afford them. Perhaps sometimes they all could do more affordable activities so that, you know, they could also pay and that they don't feel like, you know, left out. They feel like they still have their dignity intact. Yeah, something along those lines. But again, tread carefully because, like I said, more likely, more time than not, unfortunately, I hate to be negative, this won't work, but you would have known you tried. I also wanted to include in, you could consider helping them. Now, I want to be very clear, okay? Even though being crystal clear on the internet often amount to nothing, you don't owe them anything, right? People don't owe other people, even if they're family members, you know, to help them out financially. That's just not your duty. It's not your job, okay? You don't owe anyone jack. I don't care what anyone says. But if you find it within your heart, if you were led to help, perhaps you could, in order to, I guess, alleviate the resentment a little bit, right? Because, of course, I mean, a friend or family member becoming so much more successful than we are can lead and breed some resentment. I don't care what anyone says. We are human beings, right? I mean, some people are able to, you know, contain their resentment and some people are not. But, you know, that can cause some form of insecurity or could cause some form of insecurity in anybody, right? So again, if you find it within your heart, if you are led by God to do that, you could share a bit, or, you know, if you're not comfortable sharing like your own means, you could perhaps give them investing advice or tips. If you hear of jobs opening up, you could tell them about it, or you could, you know, ask the person to hire them or stuff like that. But again, tread very carefully, because once resentment or insecurity is within a friendship or relationship, you know, things can escalate very, very quickly and become toxic very, very quickly. And I'm going to close on like, stay hip to game, you guys, because sometimes people are not only upset because you lose weight or you have so much more means than they do. Some people are out here even envious of like the fact that you don't look like what you've been through, okay? There are people out here upset at the fact that you're always laughing, you're always positive, you're a chosen one. You know, I remember I had a friend like that who would, you know, she would always accuse me of, you know, I don't understand why every time I see you, the first thing I see are your teeth. And I was like, how is that a problem in my mind? Like, that's crazy, you know? When I saw her coming toward me, obviously I would start laughing and stuff, and that would bother her, which was crazy, right? And then she would also accuse me of being overdressed all the time, which I knew was bull, because listen, I'm never overdressed, okay? Now I'm always put together, or most of the time I'm put together, but I'm never overdressed. You know, I always dress according to where I'm going, and I also always dress according to the season. You know, I don't wear summer clothes in winter and etc. So I just didn't take her seriously because I knew, you know, there was no real veracity in whatever she was advancing. But then I remember this one day where she looked really nice and really put together, so I complimented her on that, because she wasn't somebody who, you know, used to put a lot of effort in her appearance. So I was like, oh, you know, wow, XYZ, you really look nice and stuff, you know. And she was like, oh, thank you, you know, I inspired myself from you. Now immediately she said that, she realized, you know, her mistake. According to her, she's like, yeah, since you are always overdressed and all. It was hilarious, right? So sometimes people are making reproaches to you and they want you to dim your light because they're not, you know, they're not comfortable, because they're envious, you know, of your light. And because your light, you know, they feel like your light is dimming theirs. They feel like when you're shining brighter, they are not shining, when the reality is we all can shine, right? We all can eat, like, you know, the saying say. But it seems like some women are not, you know, or some people in general are not comfortable with that. So be very, very careful, because a lot of people out here are not comfortable with other people just, you know, improving upon themselves. I remember the other day, subscribers emailed me about how she lost a lot of weight, and she used to have this coworker who was really nice to her. You know, she was like, she was almost a friend, you know. She was one of those co-workers that you think of as a friend. You know, they were very, very tight. They were very, very close. They used to grab lunch together every day at the office. You know, the co-worker actually used to buy her lunch very often. You know, when she had a birthday, she was the only person that would bring her a gift or card or something. So they were really, really tight. And she started losing a lot of weight. And she said that she've noticed how the co-worker, you know, is changing toward her, how she's not happy with her anymore. At first, she started, you know, trying to sabotage her. As in, you know, when they would want to have lunch, when she would buy her lunch, even though, you know, I mean, the subscriber didn't ask her to buy her lunch. That was her own decision. She can buy her own lunch, right? But she would always insist, her colleague would always insist on getting her lunch, right? and then she would want to choose what she's getting her. I guess in her mind she thought, okay, because she's paying for it, she can actually choose it, you know. So she would always want her to get, you know, super unhealthy stuff, lots of carbs like pasta and stuff like that. And when, you know, when she seen that the subscribers were very, very adamant about not doing that, you know, she started not wanting to have lunch with her anymore and stuff like that, after, you know, like threatening her not to pay for it didn't work, which again is bazooka, because she didn't ask her to pay for it to begin with, you know. So she became very shady, taking jabs at her, you know, telling her like, yeah, you think you're all that now since you lost all the weight, and da 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 and da da da. So be very careful, you guys, because a lot of people are just crazy out here. Okay, very, very toxic, and very, you know, they lack self-awareness. They can't, you know, they don't understand that whatever they have to work on is within, that whatever problem they have is internal, and you know that they need to see a mental health professional. Perhaps it's an issue going back to their childhood, and you know, they see the world negatively because they've had a bad childhood, and now they want to project that on everybody, and they want everybody to be miserable because they are miserable, because you know, we all know misery loves company, right? And stuff like that. So just be careful out here, I guess. That's that's the end message. And of course, never ever 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 dim your light for anybody. That okay? That's for losers. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna make my way out. If you enjoyed this video, do not forget to give it a thumbs up in the comment section down below. You know, let me know how did dimming your light in order to appease other people work out for you. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well, and I will talk to you guys on Sunday for Eastern Standard Time. Bye guys. Mwah.